Matt Stafford, affectionately known by Rob Parker as Stat Padford. Rob, not only did he lead the Rams to victory in game 1 against the Chicago Bears, not only did he become the first quarterback since week 6 of the 2019 season to have at least 2 touchdown passes of 40 or more air yards, 2 bombs.
Chris, did you see any defenders on those plays? Okay, go ahead.
That was great. He looked them off.
Oh, is that what it was?
Caught his
Okay.
eyes. Yeah, he looked them off.
The receivers were wide open.
He totally shook them with his eyes.
Okay.
But he was named Player of the Week, Rob. Matt Stafford in the NFC over Kyler Murray, over Jameis Winston, over Tom Brady. A lot of guys had big games, but none better, according to the NFL, than Matt Stafford. Do you have a problem with this?
I have a huge problem.
Oh, my God.
Sound the alarm. Here we go. I got a conspiracy going for you. It is the Matthew Stafford conspiracy. He's the narrative. They've all bought in. They're going to push Matthew Stafford down our throats. He's the greatest thing since sliced bread. He was in shackles and chains in Detroit. He had nothing. He played with garbage. He had no help. Matthew Stafford is the quarterback of the future. He's better than Aaron Rodgers. He's better than Tom Brady. He's better than anybody who's ever put on a uniform. Have you seen that guy's arm? He's unbelievable. And he had less yards than Jared Goff this past week. He had the same amount of touchdowns, but somehow we just watched something we've never seen before. Rub your eyes with both hands, Chris Broussard. What was that? I think I saw Santa Claus come into my room. What was it? Ram fans all over Los Angeles. They got their pennies in a bunch because they think they're going to the Super Bowl. Their Messiah wasn't wearing a robe. He was wearing a Rams jersey. Hello, Matthew Stafford. Welcome to the NFL. We always knew you were that good. We knew it. We knew it. And now you're going to prove it to everybody. Peter King and all the other national pundits who are on this Matthew Stafford bandwagon. Stop it!
Wow. Wow. I mean, my goodness. Give him another applause. He deserves it. You took it to, one simple question. How you feel about this? I got to give you credit, Rob. That was impressive. All the way through to the stop.
I hope they were, Alex, were you guys recording? I hope, because I can't replay it. I can't do that again. Stop it. I knew he would grab that off. I knew it.
Oh, my gosh. But, Rob, here's the problem. I mean, he deserved it. I mean, Rob, look, and you're right. A lot of guys played great. Kyler Murray,
that's a big win, Chris, against a good team. That's my only problem is that the Bears didn't make the playoffs last year.
Well, they did. Remember, they did.
Did they make it the last?
Oh, at 8-8.
I'm sorry.
They weren't a good team, but they did
8-8.
sneak in. Yes.
That's what I remember. You're right. They backed in because they lost to the Packers.
Right.
That's what
here's the thing, though, Rob. You got to admit this. Tennessee, yes, they were a very good team last year, but their defense isn't good. And so Chicago has a better defense than Tennessee. So Stafford did do it against a better defense, if not a better team. And my guy was Kyler. But Stafford did throw for more yards. He did complete a higher percentage of his passes. 77%. And Kyler had a pick, which Stafford didn't. Obviously Jameis, who we both think was great, but only threw for 140 something yards, so
which is all they needed, and he didn't turn the ball over. He had 5
he'll
touchdowns.
Throw for more. Yeah, he'll throw for more.
It ain't like he quits. He led the league in passing yards, but that's a huge win against a team that was in the NFC Championship game, right?
No doubt. That was a bigger win. There's no question about that. And his first start with a new team.
Tom Brady and the Cowboys.
Right. And Brady, you saw it. Like, yes, he had 2 picks, but one was the Hail Mary at the end of the first half. I mean, you just throw that up for grabs. And then the first one, I mean, it was a decent pass to Leonard Fournette that actually hit Fournette in the hands, and he just dropped it, or it went through his hand. So you could have argued for Brady. In fact, Pro Football Focus, I think they had Brady as the best quarterback of the week.
Which is surprising, though, with 2 picks. And I know you're looking at the kind of picks, but it's still surprising.
Right. That's why that's the only reason that they did it, because they're looking at what caused the picks and things like that. But you're right. But look, you watched Matt Stafford in Detroit
from day one.
Yes. So you do have a history with the guy and all that. But, look, Rob, you got to admit, and I don't poo-poo your stat and that you got to do it against the winning teams.
Okay.
Which he did not do. I mean, that's legit, right?
Chris, he has a 106 winning percentage. 106.
I hear you. And that's a true stat, and it's legit. But Rodney Peete made an interesting point, Rob, that Goff was a guy that everything had to be perfect. We talked about it yesterday with the run game. When Todd Gurley was there, that was good. And then C.J. Anderson later in the playoffs. The line had to be perfect. The receivers had to be perfect. Like, Goff needed all that. Stafford is a guy that not only do they think, but you've seen him, Rob. He can make some plays. Now, I guess you question whether he will make those plays in the big moments, the big games.
To me, that's what has to be determined, Chris, because he's put up big numbers. He had a Hall of Fame wide receiver, okay? So he had Calvin Johnson.
They were a great tandem, yep.
Yes, so it's not like his stats. We've talked about this, me and you, a lot. If you took away who he was, what team he played for, and just looked at his stats, he's got Hall of Fame stats. Like, you could look at him and go, this guy could be in the Hall of Fame. But when you look at him in context, those plays haven't come against a better team. Now, they're in a tough division, and we'll see now when they're playing.
So they're in a tough division.
When they're playing the better competition, Chris, which Matthew Stafford they got. Now, if he struggles and they lose some games, people will start to go, maybe he's not ready for this stage, or maybe it wasn't always the Lions. Now, if he excels and they win the division, or as Rodney Peete and some guys have them going to the Super Bowl, then we got a different conversation.
Right. And so ultimately it comes down to this for me. I have no problem with him being named Player of the Week. Like I said, there are a few other guys that, you wouldn't have thrown a hissy fit had they won the award, but Stafford was great. And Rob, he did have a passer rating of freaking 156.1. That's only 2 off of perfect. So I think he was deserving. I don't think the fix is in. I don't buy into your conspiracy theories and all of those shenanigans that you threw out. It was nice. It was entertaining. It was dramatic, but I don't buy into it. I'm picking them to get to the NFC title game. I'm not picking them to get to the Super Bowl or to win it.
They got to win the Super Bowl in his 3 years.
Eventually, yes.
I mean, otherwise it didn't work.
Nah, you're right, because I could have made the playoffs and had 2 first-round picks and an extra third that I didn't have, right, that I gave away to get Stafford. So I agree. It's got to be Super Bowl championship, right?
They got to win.
Just get there. Not just win the NFC. You've got to win a ring. And, Rob, here's the thing.
I'm talking about in 3 years. I'm not saying he has to do it the first year, but he's got to do it in his time in L.A.
And I think you'll admit this because you said it. If you just looked at Matt Stafford's numbers, you would say he's a Hall of Famer.
Well, on his way to
when I hear that, I mean, like, when I hear Matt Stafford and Hall of Fame in the same sentence, I want to throw up in my mouth, to use your term.
Yes.
I mean, really. It's like, what? Like, really? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no way. But this is his chance, Rob. This is his chance to become a Hall of Famer. All right? Because the numbers are great. And if he puts up those numbers, which I think he will put up big numbers with the Rams, and wins a Super Bowl, I mean, you talk about a legacy-changing move, Rob. And are you totally committed to Stat Padford? Or if he delivers this year, would you be, a believer?
Yeah,
would you become a believer?
I got to see him perform in those big games. Chris, he was in 3 playoff games, so he played in playoff games that mattered. We could go look his numbers up in those 3 playoff games.
It's a little revisionist history to say, he was always on terrible teams.
And he never played in the play. He never played he played in the playoffs. He had a couple of chances to win big games and move that franchise along, and he couldn't do it. I still remember the one game that sticks is that the last game of the year, Chris, in 2014, when they were 11-5 and they had the 5th-ranked defense in the NFL. And they went to Green Bay, and all that. If they won that game, they beat Green Bay earlier in the year in Detroit. They had the same exact record. If they beat Green Bay, they get the division. They win the division. They get a bye, Chris, and they have a home game. It's a big moment, right, in Detroit Lions history.
Absolutely.
They lose 30-20, not really in the game. They lose that game. Green Bay wins, and they go to Dallas on a wild card, and they lose that game. All I'm saying is there have been moments when he could have turned around who people think he is.
No, that's true. And this is another one of those moments. But you made a good point because, it's tempting to say, and there is a little bit of truth to it, that we really won't know until the playoffs, right?
Right.
But you made a good point about, man, Rob, this division is no joke. Especially if Arizona's going to be good. You know what I mean?
I'm looking at the division going, really?
Gosh. Those are 3 of those teams, Rob. I'm going to be honest. 3 of those teams, I wouldn't be shocked if they got to the Super Bowl. If it was San Francisco, if it was the Rams, or if it was Seattle, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not picking them, but I wouldn't be surprised.
No, but that tells you about the division, and that's going to tell you about Stafford playing. Because when he played, Chris, the Packers and Aaron Rodgers couldn't beat him. Like in a big spot, or lost to the Bears. When it came push to shove. The Bears won a couple of divisions, right? NFC North. So it wasn't like the Packers won every division. Minnesota, Chris, won a couple of NFC Norths. Right. So everybody else won except the Lions. Everybody won in the NFC North at some point.